one thing that we all struggle with is we go on tangents that sort of seem to have purpose and meaning, and then we fail to bring it back. And so when you are looking for research in your topic area, and if you're bringing in things from outside, that's totally okay. Just be careful to always remember, what's my thesis? How does this research help prove my thesis or support it? And then to make sure you say that in your literature review. If you're going off on tangents, you may say some really great, insightful things, but if it doesn't relate to your core topic, the strength of your argument isn't as powerful. So you want to make sure that you are staying on topic. So we've done the mind map, and you've listed a couple ideas, picked the main couple topics maybe to think about as you go to the library and look at the different options, and then as you go into Psych info and look for research, you can look for each of those. And as you narrow over time, because we only have 4 months, 3 months to work on this, the process is a little bit more concise, but it shouldn't take too long, hopefully, for you to find a topic that you're interested in and really want to pursue. One of the best ways, I think, to know what you want to look at, if you have a couple topics that have research and you think, I could write a paper on either of these, is again that personal interest. So for me, it was sleep. Other people are really interested in PTSD because they have a relative, a brother or sister, cousin, things like that were in the military and have PTSD now. And that really helps motivate you to stay interested, and it really helps you to focus and pay attention to what you're reading in the literature, because as you do that, you're more likely to find things that will help with your writing. Just as an overall thing, if you're not interested in what you're writing about or what you're studying, not only are you going to struggle in your motivation to go to work and to be engaged in what you're doing, you're more likely to collect bad data, because your focus isn't going to be there, your lack of bias may be affected, and you may see things that aren't there or not see things that are really important to what you're coding. So having a personal interest or connection with what you're looking at is really important. And that leads to more questions. So if I'm interested in sleep and academic performance, and I do the research and I realize, oh, this actually has a lot of importance for kids with mental health difficulties, and then I start researching kids with mental health difficulties, and then I can see what kind of therapies really help those kids, and I can look at those therapies. Good research always gives you more questions to ask and more questions to follow, more hypotheses to test. And although we aren't conducting studies in 307, the literature review may, for some of you, spark an interest that lasts your whole career. Maybe you want to be a sleep psychologist or a sports psychologist or a health psychologist because of something that you read about in an article as you're doing this. So to sort of review, we've done the mind map, hopefully, and that's given you a couple ideas to maybe look at. And that also can give you some domains or subcategories within your topic to look at that'll help break up your paper. As you're looking for a topic to decide on, make sure there's not too much research, that you're choosing a relatively narrower topic, but that you're not choosing something too narrow that there's not enough research. And then as you do that, look for, specific populations to apply those to as part of that research process, whether it's college kids because that's where we all are at, or maybe you're interested in single mothers or single fathers, or members of the LGBT community, or kids, whatever the specific population that you're looking at, that can really help narrow down the search for research that you're doing. Once you get to that point and you feel like you have a good topic and there you have a couple subcategories to look at, you think you found enough research to get you through, and probably more research than you can use, then what you really want to do is read the research. In finding papers to use, sometimes reading the abstract gives you enough of an idea that you can decide, okay, I'm going to put this in my, on my list of things that I'm going to use for my paper. But sometimes it's not enough, and sometimes it's sort of in between. The ones that aren't enough, you really need to read those before you put it on your list of things to consider. For your list of sources, you should have maybe 50 to 75% more than what you are actually going to have in your paper. You're not going to get penalized for extra sources that you use in the paper. But having a list that's longer than what you need gives you the opportunity to go through that and then to pick, okay, this is really going to help with my thesis, and this is really going to help support what I'm trying to show in this paper. So as you do that, you'll hopefully be able to narrow things down within that you really want to go after. And as you're doing that, once you have that list, then you can read the papers, and if you have more than you need, and then you narrow it down some, and then as you read them really technically and critically, then that gives you an even better idea of how well that they fit with your topic and your paper. And you may have to go back and say, well, I only have 7 sources that really fit with what I'm trying to put forward in my paper. Then you can go back and choose other sources. But if you don't do that, then you're going to have half of your sources that are going to be really good, and half of them that we're just going to wonder, okay, this doesn't really help. It'll feel more tangential, and it won't feel like it's supporting your thesis. So then after you've read your research, by reading the research, you're going to have a better idea of how the topic or the subtopics that you are interested in are measured, and what kind of effects they have inside your interests, and what kind of things are outside your interests. And as you do that, it gives you a better idea of how to sort of work on your paper. As you choose a topic and choose subtopics, subcategories, domains, organizing them in a way that works well will make your paper, one, easier to write, and it'll make it easier to read. Reading research can be really difficult if it's not written well, if it's disorganized, and it doesn't feel like it flows, just like a normal English paper. And so as you're choosing sources and choosing topics and subtopics, organizing them really helps you, and it really helps Brother Hill, who will be reading your papers. And as you continue in psychology and are writing and reading, it'll help people who are reading your papers when they get published, hopefully. It'll really help them understand not only what you're saying, but it'll make more sense. If you choose like academic performance like I did, and you choose GPA, but then you choose community service, which is sort of related but maybe a little bit more on the edge, and then you choose something like, I don't know, genre of music that they like to listen to. Those things don't necessarily work. There may be research that shows that they do affect how you perform academically, but it can be more difficult to maybe make that argument. So as you're doing this, make sure to try and present strong arguments for how your subtopics support not only the topic that you're focusing on, but the thesis that you're presenting in your paper. hopefully this helps you do a little bit of brainstorming and deciding on a topic. Tiffany, Benson, and I are always here to help you. Brother Hill is always here to help. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help you narrow things down, look for research, writing your paper, anything like that. We're always here for you, and good luck.